Hey, what's up, guys? So, this video is going to talk about economic recovery. Okay, we're going to talk about the two ways that governments or policymakers, the two tools that they could use to bring us back. And I think if you haven't heard of monetary policy or fiscal policy, or kind of forgot econ back in high school, this would be a good refresher, and it'll kind of help you understand when you see the next presidential debate, or when you see headlines of which way this country could go, and in the sense of like how much stimulus should we give, and if we're going to do government spending, how should we spend that money? Okay, so let's break this down. Okay, guys, everything at the end of the day is a tool. So we have two tools right now that we know of in our tool bag that our policymakers and our institutions could use. The first one is called monetary policy. I wish I had the little thing that said monetary policy, but okay, monetary policy, okay? This is the Federal Reserve's power. They're able to control interest rates, and they're able to control the supply of money. Okay, so they say how many dollars are out there, and they say, hey, if you want new dollars, if you want more lending, we'll lend you at this interest rate. They'll lower the interest rate, and the more money they pump out there, the more me and you are going to want to take risks. Like, oh yeah, that's super cheap, and they're giving us money. Let's go build that new complex. Let's open that restaurant. Let's go invest in a new app, right? Because things are cheaper, money's easily available. When the economy runs too hot, they say, oh yeah, we don't want this to turn into, like a hyperinflation, right? We don't want to have Germany late 20s, right? So they say, you know what? Let's raise the interest rate and let's make it harder to lend. Let's cool the economy off a little bit, and then we could, readjust. We'll go through a slump, but then we'll readjust and we'll come up. I don't know why I did that, but that's what monetary policy is. It's mostly through the Federal Reserve. The other policy we have is fiscal policy. This is what we hear on the news all the time: the stimulus, right? The power of the Treasury of the United States to print money and put it into plans. And guys, we've seen this before through our history of America, right? We've seen it with FDR. We've seen it through the New Deal, right? We've seen it in 2008 when we bailed out Ford. No, actually, that's a lie. We didn't fill out Ford. GM Chrysler, right? What they could basically, what fiscal policy could basically do is say, okay, let's print this money and let's throw it at this new project. Let's build the Hoover Dam. Let's build new roads. Let's build new schools. Let's do something with this money, because somebody has to spend it in an economy, right? And the third option to make an economy go, not a lot of people talk about, but this is the main component of everything. Both of these tools, monetary policy and fiscal policy, is trying to get us to do the third thing. The third thing for policymakers would be nothing. It'd be me and you. Me and you got to step up. If me and you go out and we have beers, we go out, we take vacations, we go out, we buy a rental house, we go out, we start a new company, we start spending, we have this positive sentiment, like, yeah, things are going to be great, right? The economy will grow. I know it sounds crazy, but all these tools are used to get that result. They could leave interest rates at 3% or 2%, and leave the same amount of money in the supply. Adjust it accordingly with expiring old loans and generating new ones, but not like, hey, we're going to do influx. And on the monetary policy, say, hey, no stimulus, nope, not going to do it, and no New Deal, no Green Deal, no nothing. We're not going to do it. And it would really come down to me and you, opening that restaurant, spending money going out for a dinner, going to a movie, maybe sending our kids to school, or nieces, nephews to school, that is the true economy, right? So both of these things are trying to get us to do that. So those are the three tools that we have. Now, you've seen Joe Biden's, and I'm not going to get like if this is wrong or this is right kind of thing. I just want to lay this out for you, and this is strictly what I've gotten from them on their debates, and Kamala Harris's debate and Mike Pence's debate. Biden's plan is going to make taxes go up. He's only going to charge, increased taxes of people that make more than $400,000. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That sounds good on paper. Most things do. When your taxes go up, so do the price of common goods. And guys, that's just, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out, right? My parents own a convenience store. So when, our taxes are going to go up, it's because the Frito-Lay, Pepsi is charging more for their bags of chips to maintain profit. So we got to pass that down to you. Same thing with the milk, same thing with the eggs, same thing with the gas. Is it a crazy increase? No, not really. But I mean, 10% increase on regular goods over a couple of years is a lot. It is a lot. And those are the two, I guess, effects of raising the taxes. Not only are you going to pay more in taxes up front, but cost of living also goes up. And then you're going to see is, and this is for both Trump and for Biden, what are they doing with that money? That's what's really like, okay, we give you more taxes, you raise money, you just paying that into debt? Or are you going to use this money to build infrastructure and to build it positively? Debt's not bad. I love debt if debt is productive. Now, Trump's keeping taxes low and spending money. Yeah, that sounds great. No, not really. Because of that money that we spend, as far as the fiscal side, right? Because it's the government spending. If they don't spend it in the right manner on productive means, me and you are going to have to pay that bill down the road, right? So that's what it really comes down to for the Biden side and for the Trump side. They're trying to do it two different ways. Biden's trying to charge us up front. Trump's trying to charge us later. But both want to spend money. One's on a Green New Deal, in a sense, and the other one is saying infrastructure. That's what they really want to roll out. That's what really your decision comes down to, is which way you want to do it and which way do you want to spend. Me personally, I'd rather kick it down the road if what we're spending today is going to help us make more money later, then that will pay for itself, right? And I want infrastructure, I want schools, I want, highways, and I want 5G. Whoever gives me that, that's who I'm voting for, because I think that's what's going to keep America strong and competitive. So, when you're looking at this, let's talk about the deficit for a little bit. Or not the deficit, because there's a deficit and there's the actual national debt, right? The deficit is on a yearly turning basis, how much money we need to raise, and we have the national debt. So the national debt, there's a little misconception that I want to drop something on you guys. And some of you guys, most of you guys probably know this. I didn't know this. I had to learn it, and I was like, that's a very interesting fact. The majority of our national debt is unfunded liabilities. So what the hell is an unfunded liability? It means that it's on the books. We got to pay for it. Like, if you had kids, their college fund or their first car or whatever. And we're saving money to the side, putting money to the side to pay for it, but we just haven't paid it yet. But we still owe it. So what is our unfunded liability? Well, it's Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. More than 60% of our debt are those programs. So if the American dollar goes under, then those guys aren't going to get their payout. We don't really owe $30 trillion. I mean, we owe it to the American people because we put into it, but the American people is us. So, I mean, essentially it would be like, oh, well, America's bankrupt, we'll have to restart, right? Same thing with the pensions and stuff too. Well, Social Security is a pension type of form. The problem that I see for coming in all of this is either Trump's way of kicking it down the road or Biden's way of paying it now, or if we do nothing and let things grow, is if we don't grow, we're in trouble. Right now, we owe this much, hypothetically speaking, in interest every year on that debt. And we usually collect from here to here. Sometimes we go a little bit here, we fall a little bit under, and we, make it up by raising cash or whatever, right? The problem is if we give a stimulus and then we go and raise taxes so less is even coming in, or with Trump, you kick taxes out so less is coming in, and you lower taxes, right? Less is coming out both ways. And then you spend on big government programs. Holy cow, there's a gap here. How are we going to make that gap up, right? It's not as easy as, you just print money. Because if it was that easy, don't you think every country in the world, why would there ever be a poor country in the world? Why wouldn't Somalia just say, oh, shit, why didn't we know we could just print more Somalian dollars? And then, oh, wow, would you look at that? We're all rich. We just gave everybody $1 million. It just doesn't work that way. America has been able to get away with it because we're the world's reserve currency. People need our dollars to settle debts. And here's the scary part, guys. Over the years, as we become more divided, as we lose competitive advantage because we're not the number one leader in 5G. We aren't as innovative as we are now. We, don't push entrepreneurs. We kind of hold them back by saying, well, if you succeed, we're going to take more than half, right? Then we are going to lose, our power of being the world reserve currency. China most likely will replace it. They're kicking our butts everywhere. So what's the difference there? The difference there is this. If we don't like what Iran's doing, we don't like what Turkey's doing right now, we say, hey, knock it off, man. Just knock it off. And if you don't, we're going to cut you out of our system. We're going to cut you out of our dollars. And they're like, man, now I'm not going to be able to make money, so I better get my act right. Well, in 10 years from now, which is not a lot of time, 20 years from now is not a lot of time either. If they're like, well, screw you, America, we don't need your dollars. We're going to go over and get the, Chinese RMB, or we're going to get, some Japanese dollars, or whoever it is that steps up, then we lose that power. Our dollar loses that power. Our country as a whole loses that influence. So what? Why does that matter? Okay, well, that matters because if we like the life we're living, because believe it or not, but even a homeless guy that's here in America is living a way better life than a homeless guy that's in like Somalia. I just thought of Somalia, but in Somalia. All right, as far as having an abundance of goods. We have gotten to the point where we allowed other countries to send us stuff on credit for cheaper, and it's allowed everybody in this country to get more stuff. When you lose your currency as a world reserve currency, when you lose the American dollar being the world reserve currency, you're not going to get cheap stuff inflowing on credit right away. Not everybody's going to have access to goods. That's the big difference. For me, when I'm looking at this, the one thing I'm looking at is, well, we got almost 30 million people about to be affected. We got to do something. This is a crazy time. I get that. We're going to have to do stimulus. I get that. For me, the biggest thing I'm looking for me is which way and which president are going to spend the money how. On infrastructure, I want to see 5G, highways, and schools. I don't really care about Green New Deal right now. That will come in time. Subsidize that like the way we have been with, electric cars. Let that develop. Once we get 5G, once we get highways in the next 10 years all done up and we're making productive money, then we can focus on. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying there's more pressing things we need to do. This is my thoughts and takes on it, and I hope you learned something. To recap, you have monetary policy, which is the Federal Reserve. They control interest rates, supply of money. You have fiscal policy, which is Democrats and Republicans and senators and presidents and Congress people that say we're going to pledge American dollars towards projects. And, those are the two main things. And of course, there's us that have microtransactions, like, and good sentiment, and we make the economy go up from there. So for me, those are the two things that I learned, in school and stuff, and just in general knowledge, right? And just to wrap it up, guys, sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. I got a little party going on upstairs, so I'm trying to go enjoy that, but I wanted to bring this video out. But when you are looking at it, you got to think to yourself, what's going to matter most to you and your family? And that's a discussion you need to have when it comes to voting. But when it comes to the economic side and it comes to housing and stuff like that, whichever way it pays out, we'll see. Because usually what happens is when taxes go up and productivity goes down, then asset prices across the board are going to start coming down a little bit, right? So that means things will get cheaper. But if taxes go down and government starts spending and people have more money, things are naturally going to get more inflated. They'll get more inflated. I've always said this, and I always say this again. If you got a good real estate deal, if you got a good business deal in general lined up, take the deal, but do your homework. So anyways, I hope you learned something from this, guys. I'm sorry it wasn't as detailed as I usually do it, but if you did, then please share this video with at least one friend. Help me grow the account. And of course, like and leave a comment if you can. I'd really appreciate it. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it. Have a good weekend.